In the fifth year of the divorce, Jordan filed a lawsuit demanding Letitia return the $167,000.65 she received during the settlement. He sued with such meticulous detail, not because of a good memory, simply because his new young girlfriend found him dull and wanted him to stir up some drama. In court, he never once furrowed his brow, yet remembered every single expense from back then with crystal clarity. Even the Letitia booked a budget airline ticket to London to see him for 831 yuan was discovered by him. After 8 years of love and 5 years of marriage, during the toughest times, it was for Jordan's study abroad expenses. Letitia even switched her own medication to the cheapest, low-quality generic drugs. However, all of this, Jordan was unaware of. He didn't even know that because of this lawsuit, Letitia's bank card was frozen and her medication was stopped by the hospital. And it was Jordan who, years ago, secretly donated her kidney to him when he was in the late stages of renal failure. Letitia, because of the medication stoppage, the doctor pronounced her death sentence. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. You still owe 3,000 in interest. It must be in my account by tonight at the latest. In the courthouse corridor after the trial, the now multimillionaire Jordan spoke with an icy tone. If I don't receive it by midnight, I'll petition the court to repossess the burial plot where your parents are interred. Beside him, Mandy in her Chanel haute couture, clung listlessly to the man's arm. Just beyond the wall, Letitia turned on the faucet, expertly cleaning the blood gushing from her nose, her voice terrifyingly hoarse. Can you give me more time? I really don't have any money left to pay for medical treatment. Letitia works 3 jobs a day, 2/3 of her monthly wages go toward painkillers and inhibitors. She shuttles between her rented room and the hospital. Now, she couldn't even afford the cheapest painkillers. Jordan remained silent for a moment before forcing out a scornful laugh from his throat. Letitia, we've been divorced for 5 years. What makes you think I'd go soft on you? Letitia paused while washing her hands, her vision suddenly growing blurry. Yes. It's been 5 years since the divorce. She never imagined that 5 years after the divorce, she would see Jordan again in a courtroom, as defendant and plaintiff, as ex-wife and ex-husband. 5 years ago, Jordan wasn't yet a billionaire financial tycoon. She wasn't some universally despised ingrate either. They were just an ordinary couple struggling to make ends meet in this vast city, their only dream being to have a home of their own. For this, they worked day and night, lived in leaky basements, and survived on 10 yuan boxed meals. Just when their careers were finally taking off, Jordan was diagnosed with uremia. On the day of diagnosis, Jordan secretly tucked his bank card under Letitia's pillow and climbed alone to the rooftop. Letitia, I can't burden you. Please forget me. Letitia trembled in terror, throwing herself at him in desperation. Jordan, I beg you, just hold on a little longer. Okay, Jordan, don't leave me behind. Jordan's heart softened. He came down from the rooftop and held Letitia, crying uncontrollably. The chemotherapy days were unbearable. Yet Jordan's condition showed no improvement. On the 72nd day since diagnosis, Letitia sold the last valuable item in their home and deposited the money into the hospital account. Then tell Jordan she's had enough of working multiple part-time jobs every day, eating just one meal, stretching every penny until it screams. Had enough of the antiseptic smell on her clothes that never washes out no matter how many times she tries. Had enough of being with Jordan, staring at a future with no end in sight. She had had enough. That day, Jordan took his medicine voluntarily for the first time. Uncontrollable nausea made his tears flow uncontrollably, drop by drop, falling onto the back of his hand covered in needle marks. He knelt down and begged her, Letitia, please, just hold on a little longer. Okay, Letitia. I beg you, don't leave me alone. Letitia didn't soften. She merely stroked Jordan's increasingly sallow hair from illness, then left resolutely. Jordan didn't know the matching results had come out. The person whose kidney matched successfully with his was Letitia. She had to let Jordan live, so she could only die herself. And now, Jordan showed no mercy either. Watching Letitia humbly beg him for more time, Jordan felt an inexplicable pain in his chest, yet even through the pain, he laughed with vindictive satisfaction. Letitia, are you trying to tell me now that you regret leaving me back then? If you hadn't divorced me, you could be like Mandy now, wearing a Chanel dress, carrying a Prada bag, and being respectfully addressed as Mrs. Marlon, instead of like this, wearing faded jeans and begging me humbly to let you go. Mrs. Marlon. Letitia froze momentarily, the scar from her kidney donation 5 years ago now throbbing with a dense, needle-like pain. You're getting married. Jordan curled his lips, tenderly brushing aside the stray hairs by Mandy's ear as he said softly, yes, "We're getting married the 3rd of next month." Mandy blushed coyly and shot the man a sweet, playful glance. Jordan said that day was truly worth celebrating. Letitia's fingers trembled slightly. It really was a good day. 5 years ago, it was on that very day she broke up with Jordan. Letitia's vision suddenly blurred. It took her a long while to compose herself enough to say those words with dignity. "Congratulations to you both. Happy wedding." She thought she had maintained enough dignity. But Jordan wasn't satisfied. He stopped Letitia, the corners of his eyes curved with mockery. "Congratulations alone mean nothing. Can you even afford the wedding gift money? Letitia, how about I show you a way out? Stay by my side and help me and Mandy prepare for the wedding, or I could introduce you to some rich boys who like damaged goods, $200 a night, which is exactly what you're worth." The undisguised malice made Mandy burst into laughter. It also made Letitia's face gradually drain of color. She never expected Jordan to hate him this much. But that was understandable after all. He'd even threatened her with her deceased parents, hadn't he? Without hesitation, Letitia chose the first option. To stay by Jordan's side and help him prepare for the wedding, the 10th of next month, 7 days from now, if memory serves, according to the doctor's prognosis. This body of hers, already ravaged by illness, would likely only last until that day. Leaving the courthouse, Letitia went to the pawn shop to sell the wedding ring Jordan had given her. With the money in hand, Letitia headed straight to the funeral home to book the simplest funeral service available in 7 days. The staff member repeatedly confirmed, booking a funeral requires filling in a relative's contact information. He looked at the empty space in the relatives column of the form and paused for a moment. Letitia shook her head. "I have no family left." The staff member said nothing more, instead sympathetically pulling out another price list. "What about the cemetery plot? Would you like me to reserve one for you?" Letitia glanced at the prices. The cheapest one started at $888, pursing her lips. She was about to decline when Jordan's call came through, launching straight into a barrage of accusations. "Letitia, have you lost your mind over money? How dare you sell the wedding ring I gave you? Do you even know I worked half a month on construction sites back then just to—" "I know," Letitia interrupted him, her voice carrying a barely perceptible tremble. Letitia knew it all too well. That year, Jordan was 23, earning $3,000 a month, for this engagement ring. He had secretly worked 15 grueling days at a construction site without telling her. His shoulders were rubbed raw, his fingers were cut. But he didn't care about any of it. He just gave his all, wanting to give Letitia the very best. 5 years after the divorce, to pay for treatment, Letitia had sold many of her belongings. Only this wedding ring, no matter how tough life got, no matter how much the wounds hurt, Letitia couldn't bear to part with it. Now, to ensure she could have a decent funeral after her death, Letitia sold it for $1,200. Letitia and Jordan's marriage, 5 years later, was only worth $1,200 at the pawn shop. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, as if stunned by Letitia's reply. After a long pause, she finally heard Jordan laugh mockingly, word by word. "Letitia, you heartless, soulless woman, why don't you just die?" Ink stained Letitia's fingers as she wanted to tell him, "Stop hating her, she's truly going to die." Yet the words gathered on her lips only formed, "Jordan, you're so rich, could you lend me another 30,000? She saw it, the burial plot beside her parents' graves, exactly 30,000. The call abruptly ended, as if unwilling to spare her another word. Yet a WeChat transfer for 30,000 yuan suddenly appeared. The moment the notification sounded, Letitia uselessly teared up. She thought, "Jordan, how are you still so easy to fool?" Sniffling. Letitia was just about to say thank you. A 20-second voice message popped up on WeChat, and when opened, it was Mandy's pitiful voice saying, "MS, Letitia, what's 30,000? A pair of hair clips Jordan casually bought for me costs more than that. If you're short on money, I'll give it to you. Tomorrow Jordan is accompanying me to try on wedding dresses. You can be the model. If you do well, consider this 30,000 as an advance on your salary out of pity for you. After all, I should thank you. If you hadn't heartlessly abandoned Jordan, I wouldn't have had the chance to meet him." Mandy's words cut like knives, each one deeply carving into Letitia's heart. She clenched her phone, instinctively wanting to refuse, but her peripheral vision uncontrollably fell on the open price list. Being buried beside her parents after death, Letitia couldn't resist this temptation. Taking a deep breath, Letitia replied, "Okay." The next day, Letitia arrived at the bridal shop as promised. In the VIP lounge, Mandy leaned against Jordan's shoulder, flipping through a wedding dress catalog, asking with a smile on every page whether Jordan liked it. Jordan nodded patiently each time, his gaze so tender it could drown a person. Letitia watched the scene, her heart aching faintly. Suddenly she remembered 8 years ago, When she married Jordan, they had no money, no family. And their biggest expense was buying a seventh-hand wedding dress that someone else had discarded on a second-hand platform. Because the skirt was too large, Letitia fell 8 times on the day they registered their marriage. On the 9th fall, Jordan carried her on his back and vowed to become very rich one day. He wanted to make Letitia the most beautiful bride in the world. Jordan did it. He's now wealthy enough to casually book the most expensive bridal shop in town. But the bride he wants is no longer Letitia, but Mandy, that healthy, lively girl who clearly grew up being cherished, eyes burning with unshed tears. Letitia couldn't bear to watch them any longer and fled into the fitting room. The first wedding dress was from the haute couture collection. The moment it appeared on the runway, Jordan frowned and said, "Letitia, are you doing this on purpose? You knew we were trying on wedding dresses today. Yet you starved yourself this thin, thinking you could contrast with Mandy and win my sympathy. Pathetic." Jordan reached out and pulled Mandy close, planting an intimate kiss on her forehead. "Only a kind and genuine woman like Mandy deserves my love. As for you, I'd find you repulsive even if you stood naked before me." His brows furrowed in cold disdain, the contempt in his eyes unmistakably genuine. Letitia noticed this and lowered her head in embarrassment. She had forgotten years of chemotherapy had long since left her gaunt beyond recognition. Now, clad in this elaborate, heavily embroidered wedding dress, she resembled not a beautiful bride but rather a mouse that had stolen into someone else's gown. Letitia smiled self-deprecatingly, already searching for an excuse to brush it off and salvage some dignity. The tip of her nose suddenly grew warm as a drop of crimson blood fell onto her wedding dress. She froze, reaching out to wipe it away. But her wrist was abruptly seized. Jordan charged onto the stage. "What's wrong with you?" Letitia's heart skipped a beat. Her lips parted as she instinctively searched for an excuse to brush it off. Then she saw Jordan release her hand, grab the hem of her dress with a furrowed brow. So, it was just about the wedding dress. She just didn't know if this dress could be cleaned if compensation was needed. She wondered whether she could scrape together enough money before her death. Letitia thought with a sense of loss, then spoke softly. "How much is this wedding dress? Can I pay in installments?" Unexpectedly, Jordan interrupted her. "What happened to your nose?" Letitia froze for a moment, just about to explain when Mandy, with reddened eyes, took Jordan's arm. Letitia, even if you're trying to catch Jordan's attention to get more money from him, you can't deliberately make yourself sick and ruin my favorite wedding dress. Can you?" Jordan suddenly looked up, his eyes scrutinizing Letitia's expression as if searching for something. Letitia avoided his gaze. "Sorry, I stayed up late last night and didn't eat this morning, so I got sick. My apologies. Talking about dying or such things to an ex-husband who's about to get married is just asking for bad luck." Jordan straightened up and instructed the clerk to fetch walnut cookies from the car. Turning to meet Letitia's surprised gaze, the man's expression tightened. "Don't misunderstand, I just don't want anything to happen to you." The model, before Mandy finishes picking out her favorites, Letitia nodded in understanding. She just hadn't expected that Jordan would keep such cheap walnut cookies in his car. Jordan during his illness, Letitia would often split a single steamed bun into 2 meals to save money for his treatment. When she couldn't bear it anymore, she'd buy the cheapest walnut cookies from the bakery, crumbling them to mix with the steamed bun just to swallow it down. Jordan discovered. Letitia told him it was because she loved walnut cakes. She even made Jordan promise to open a pastry shop specializing in walnut cakes once he recovered. Recalling those white lies, Letitia unconsciously curled her lips into a smile. Mandy noticed and snorted. "My Hilda absolutely adores walnut cakes," so Jordan got used to keeping a few packs in the car, just in case Hilda craved them and couldn't find any. Letitia, you don't mind sharing with our Hilda, do you?" "Hilda," Mandy nodded, her eyes gleaming mischievously. "Hilda is the pet dog we adopted together after Jordan and I got together." Jordan said cheap pastries like walnut cookies are only fit for dogs. After saying this, she shot Letitia a half-smiling glance. "Surely Letitia didn't think these walnut cookies were specially bought for you. Don't blame me for speaking harshly, Letitia, but you might want to look in the mirror before going out." Letitia froze, instinctively glancing at the full-length mirror beside her. The chemotherapy had turned her hair brittle and sallow, with dark circles perpetually shadowing her eyes, leaving her entire face devoid of its former glow. She was no longer the beautiful Letitia of the past. Mandy was right, she ought to know her place. Her eyes stung badly. Letitia rushed to the bathroom before her tears could fall. When she came out again, Mandy had changed into another wedding dress, twirling and laughing before Jordan. "Jordan, do I look beautiful?" Jordan gently lifted her hand and placed a soft kiss upon it. "You look beautiful. Our Mandy looks best in anything she wears." Then what about Letitia, who's prettier, her or me? Mandy coquettishly said. Jordan was stunned for a second. Of course you're prettier. As for Letitia, he paused. His peripheral glance sweeping over Letitia standing behind the curtain, a scornful curve lifting the corner of his mouth. Ugly people make the most fuss. A woman like her is just wasting air by being alive. Mandy giggled and sweetly threw herself into Jordan's arms, coquettishly nestling against him. Letitia pressed tightly against the wall, feeling as if the entire world was spinning around her. She practically fled in panic. Tearing off her wedding dress and running out of the bridal shop with her bag, at the doorway, she couldn't resist turning back for one last glance at Jordan. Jordan cupped Mandy's head with his large hand, leaning down slightly as their lips met, completely absorbed in their passionate kiss. He didn't even glance at Letitia, as heartless as when she left Jordan years ago. Stop thinking about it, Letitia told herself. He and she had severed all ties 5 years ago. In the coming days, she should know better and repay the money quickly, not reappear to disturb Jordan's life again. Coincidentally, the funeral home also called her, Ms. Letitia. The cemetery plot you reserved is having a promotion these 2 days. It's 3,000 yuan cheaper now. The excess amount has been refunded to your account. Please check. After hanging up, Letitia stared blankly at the extra 3,000 yuan showing on her phone for a long time. After a moment's thought, she transferred the money to Jordan. The interest I owe you, we're even now. The next second, countless messages flooded into Letitia's phone. Where are you? Who gave you the money? Speak, Letitia. Messages flooded in one after another. Without even looking, Letitia knew how furious Jordan was. She didn't know how to respond, so she simply chose to avoid it. She turned off her phone and went straight back to her rented room. As soon as she entered the hallway, she saw the landlord tightly locking the door with a padlock. When he spotted her, the landlord's face showed pity. Letitia, I won't be renting this place to you anymore. Someone offered 10 times the price for this room and specifically demanded that none of your belongings inside be given to you. I don't know which big shot you've offended to be treated like this. Letitia's fingers tightened slightly, then quickly relaxed. She knew there would be no one else but Jordan. Sure enough, as soon as she went downstairs, she spotted Jordan's distinctive license plate. Taking a deep breath, Letitia knocked on the car window. It was you, wasn't it? Letitia said with certainty. Why? She was genuinely puzzled. Jordan's cold gaze suddenly flared with fire. 5 years ago you abandoned me for money and left without a word. Today I gave you money, yet you left again without my permission. Letitia, what do you take me for? A dog that comes when called? Letitia froze. About to explain that she had never thought that way, that there were reasons, when she raised her hand and saw the dense cluster of needle marks on the back of it. Only 5 days remained until her death. She deflated like a punctured balloon, uttering just one sentence. Sorry. Jordan's face stiffened with anger. He lowered his eyes and let out a cold laugh, motioning for Letitia to get in the car. If you want your things back, then keep helping me and Mandy prepare for the wedding. Also, you ran away from the wedding dress fitting today. Mandy is very unhappy, and you still owe me 30,000 yuan. Until you've paid it all back, you're not allowed to leave my side for a second. Jordan took Letitia back to the villa. No sooner had she stepped inside, Mandy, now clad in seductive lace, threw herself onto Jordan, pressing her vivid crimson lips against his. Jordan was momentarily stunned and instinctively tried to push away. But as his peripheral vision caught sight of Letitia, his outstretched hands gradually stiffened before transforming into fervent reciprocation. The scorching atmosphere rapidly intensified, the heat nearly causing Letitia, who stood nearby, to faint. She stared blankly at the entwined pair before her, each heartbeat pumping icy gusts through her chest. So even when facing death, the heart can still ache like this. After what felt like an eternity, Jordan finally released Mandy, his thumb gently brushing her slightly swollen lips as he murmured in a deep voice, "What are you standing there for? Can't you see Mandy and I have things to do? There's a supermarket outside the villa, go buy some essentials for us." Despite it being the height of August summer, Letitia felt an icy chill creeping through her body, clutching the hem of her clothes. She replied with difficulty, "I don't understand this kind of thing. Find someone else." She truly didn't understand. After 8 years with Jordan, he had never been willing to let Letitia buy this. He knew Letitia was thin-skinned, knew she would feel embarrassed, so no matter how much he struggled, he could never bear to put Letitia in an awkward position. But now, Jordan was asking Letitia to buy protection for him and another woman. Her vision darkened in waves, and Letitia nearly bit through her tongue to keep her emotions from collapsing. Mandy covered her mouth, looking shocked. "Ms. Letitia, how could you not understand? Isn't she the type who'd do anything for money?" After speaking, She seemingly regretfully patted her own head and apologized to Letitia. Letitia, I didn't mean it that way, it's just that out of curiosity, I looked into you and found you frequently entering various hotels at 3 a.m., so, maybe I misunderstood. Please don't take it to heart. She blinked her eyes, looking utterly innocent. Letitia froze, immediately recalling her late-night errand, and opened her mouth to explain, but faster than her was Jordan's slap. Jordan's veins bulged on his forehead, his hand trembling slightly, as if he had exerted all the strength in his body. Letitia, how could you be so despicable? A distinct slap mark quickly swelled on her cheek. Letitia looked up in stunned silence, unable to believe that Jordan would actually hit her over Mandy's words. In the past, he would fret endlessly over a single strand of her fallen hair. At that moment, it felt as if icy water had been poured over her from head to toe. Jordan, I didn't, Letitia spoke, her voice trembling uncontrollably. She thought that as long as she explained, Jordan wouldn't be angry. I went to the hotel because I had no money. I was working. I don't care what you're doing, Jordan interrupted her, pulling out a thick stack of bills from his wallet and showering them over Letitia, forcing her to her knees. Isn't it money you want? Here, take it, take the money, then kneel right here. I want you to listen to me and Mandy being intimate. If you dare to stand up even one step, I'll have someone dig up your long-dead parents immediately. With that said, Mandy scooped her up in his arms and strode up to the second floor. The door slammed shut with a bang. Soon followed the rough panting of an impassioned man and the sweet, coquettish screams of a woman. Letitia knelt on the ground, her face ashen, the vivid banknotes before her eyes, mingled with the passionate sounds of the couple upstairs, resembled a melody from hell, making her unable to hold back a mouthful of blood. The blood meandered into flower-like patterns on the floor. Letitia thought of the medical records that no longer fit in the drawer, of the thick stack of dialysis bills in the box. The first time was 5 years ago, the 7th week after she donated her kidney to Jordan. After the matching results came out, the doctor had warned Letitia that her genetic screening showed defects, and donating a kidney would carry significant risks. Letitia was terrified, but fear couldn't make Jordan better. Shortly after the surgery, she was diagnosed with nephritis, which later progressed to kidney failure, requiring dialysis 3 times a week. When working 3 jobs a day to save money for treatment, Letitia never regretted it. When her blood vessels repeatedly bled from frequent punctures, swelling to the size of steamed buns, Letitia never regretted it. When her bank card was frozen and the doctor pronounced her death sentence, Letitia still felt no regret. But now, listening to Jordan and Mandy being affectionate, Letitia regretted it. She thought, why did Jordan treat her like this? Clearly. Letitia bit her lip, as if transported back to that hospital rooftop years ago. Jordan, his body swollen from medication and consumed by self-loathing, said to Letitia, just go, don't worry about me anymore. Letitia disagreed, pretending not to hear. Later, when the match was successful, she used the excuse of having met someone better to break up with him. Jordan panicked instead. He said Letitia was lying, that she wasn't that kind of person at all. Letitia still remembers to this day Jordan kneeling before her. That proud man bent his knees for the first time, weeping and begging her not to say another word. Such a defiant man who bowed to neither heaven nor earth, abandoned all dignity just to beg Letitia to change her mind. Thinking of the past, Letitia suddenly lost all her resolve. Forget it, she thought. After all, it was she who pushed him away. Letitia smiled, her fragile back bending as she tried to wipe the blood off the floor. But the harder she tried to clean it, the faster her tears fell. In the end, she completely gave up, straightening up to sit properly when suddenly her vision blurred, and she collapsed heavily to the ground. In her daze, Letitia seemed to see Jordan rushing down the stairs in neat attire, calling her name repeatedly in her ear. When she woke again, she was already in the hospital. Letitia glanced at the pale ceiling, then turned her head to see Jordan standing by her bedside. Holding her medical records in hand, Letitia's heart skipped a beat as she was about to explain, only to see Jordan's hand gripping the medical records, veins bulging, before he flung them directly at Letitia's face. Letitia, have you no shame? It's just a fever, and you deliberately fainted at my place. What, you think pretending to be seriously ill will soften my heart and make me sympathize with you, so I won't ask you to pay back the money, is that it? If it weren't for the doctor's test results coming out, I might have been fooled by your acting. I warn you, even if you're about to die, you'll have to crawl over to be Mandy's bridesmaid on the wedding day. Letitia was stunned. Fever? How could it be a fever? Could the hospital have missed it? But soon, she remembered Jordan's words. He wanted her to be Mandy's bridesmaid. Her hands hidden beneath the quilt dug bloody marks into her palms. Letitia was about to refuse when Jordan produced the deed to the cemetery he had purchased. The burial plot where your parents lie now bears the Liu family name. The words of refusal froze in her throat. Letitia worked her lips several times, yet not a single syllable escaped. Jordan was pleased with Letitia's obedience, but Mandy grew displeased. With reddened eyes, she clung to the man's arm, then turned to look at Letitia, her gaze dripping with undisguised contempt. Jordan, since Ms. Letitia is so reluctant, why don't we just forget it? Consider that 30,000 debt written off, treat it as alms for a beggar. And, what if Ms. Letitia really dies? Seeing her reminds me of how you used to be. Jordan, it truly breaks my heart. Mandy wore a sympathetic expression. Yet every word she spoke served as a reminder. Letitia had once betrayed him for money during his darkest hour. Jordan's eyes turned completely cold. Then let her die. I'd rather feed my money to dogs than waste it on a heartless woman. With that, Jordan took Mandy's hand and walked away without looking back. Mandy turned around and flashed a triumphant smile at Letitia. Letitia remained silent, quietly picking up the medical records covered in footprints from the floor. Only 4 days remained until her death. For the next 2 days, Jordan never showed up again. But Letitia's phone kept receiving affectionate photos sent by Mandy. She knew Jordan took Mandy to see the tulip fields. It was Letitia's 23rd birthday wish. She knew Jordan hand-carved a ring for Mandy. The design was identical to the one Letitia had sold. She also knew that Jordan had given the keys to Letitia's rental apartment to Mandy. In the video, Mandy dug out all of Letitia's medical records from over the years, tore them into pieces, and flushed them down the toilet. Facing the camera, Mandy smugly declared, "A dying woman like you still wants to compete with me for Jordan. Dream on. I've already bribed the doctor to forge your medical records. Jordan will never know about your condition. Even if you die, it's what you deserve." These messages. Letitia did not reply to any of them. The next day, she went to the nurse to check out of the hospital. She didn't have much time left, and she didn't want to spend her remaining days just staying in the hospital. But when it came time to sign, she ran into trouble. Letitia couldn't afford the hospital fees. Thinking of her empty wallet, Letitia dialed her colleague's number. "Is that waiter job you mentioned still hiring part-timers? I need the money." Knowing Letitia's situation, her colleague replied quickly, "We are. 300 a day, or 500 if you wear high heels. Which one do you choose?" Swallowing 2 painkillers, Letitia whispered softly, 500. 500, just enough for her hospital fees. In the club, the manager, disgusted by Letitia's pallid complexion, caked layer after layer of cheap foundation onto her face. Only when heavy makeup concealed her sickly pallor did Letitia carry the drinks toward the private room. Little did she know this room was hosting the last bachelor party for Jordan and Mandy. On the sofa, Jordan sat stiffly in his tailored suit, swirling his glass with tension. Mandy wore a fitted dress in matching tones, the massive sapphire at her décolletage glittering brilliantly. The two leaned against each other, whispering from time to time, just like the protagonists in a novel. Everyone else gathered around them, constantly trying to please, but Letitia never expected they were actually talking about her. "Jordan, I heard you're suing Letitia. Not to be harsh, but you should have done this sooner. That bitch abandoned you at your lowest for money. If I were you, I'd have crushed her long ago. How could you endure it for 5 years, Jordan?" Exactly, everyone knows how good Jordan was to Letitia, but Letitia, she just walked away without a second thought. Disgusting. If she dares to show her face in front of me, I'll make her kneel and lick my toes to properly vent Jordan's anger. Letitia knew these people. 5 years ago, they were Jordan's entrepreneurial partners who would affectionately call her sister-in-law whenever they saw her. Saying Jordan must have accumulated good karma in his past life to meet such a wonderful wife like her. 5 years later, they sat beside Jordan and Mandy, using every vile word imaginable to belittle her. Letitia felt her eyes moisten. After just one glance, she lowered her head, afraid they might notice her presence. Mandy spotted her first and waved for Letitia to come closer, her gaze teasing. "Are you new here? I don't think I've seen you before." Letitia lowered her voice and explained she was there for a part-time job. Mandy nodded, then reached out and knocked over the wine glass on the table, standing up angrily. "How can you be so careless? Even a wine glass gets knocked over. Clean it up immediately." She extended her high-heeled foot, slightly stained with wine, barely noticeable under the light. Letitia remained silent, crouching down to wipe it dry for her. Mandy stepped directly onto her shoulder, the 12-centimeter stiletto heel sinking deep into Letitia's flesh, forcing her to gasp in pain. "What are you staring at? Hurry up and clean it. These shoes are expensive. You couldn't afford them even if you sold yourself." Mandy wore a haughty expression, the smugness at the corners of her lips impossible to suppress. Jordan, drawn by the commotion, glanced up at the two of them. With just one glance, he recognized Letitia, his hand gripping the wine glass suddenly tightening. Soon, he noticed Letitia's form-fitting cheongsam and high heels, the pity in his eyes turning into endless mockery. What, so desperate for money you're selling yourself now, still working shifts even when you're sick? Letitia, you're truly dedicated. Mandy dramatically covered her mouth, as if just noticing Letitia, her face showing apology. Oh my, Letitia, is that really you? I'm sorry, I never imagined you'd end up working at a club like this. What an absolute surprise. The private room instantly fell silent, all eyes shifting to my heavily made-up face. Looks of disdain and mockery were everywhere. 5 years apart, Letitia has gone money mad, even stooping to hostessing. Exactly. Back when Jordan was ill, she cheated for money. Now she's reduced to hostessing. What poetic justice. As the saying goes, karma's a bitch. So, how much would it cost to have her for a night? Snickers slithered through the private room like rustling silk. Someone started it first. And the men present shamelessly sized up Letitia's figure, openly discussing her price as if no one else was around. Someone even got carried away, pulling out cash and tossing it into the air, shouting, "Come on, name your price. How much to take off one piece of clothing? I'll double it." They laughed without restraint, clearly eager to vent their anger on behalf of Jordan. Letitia forced herself to stand up despite the humiliation, wanting to leave, just as she touched the door handle. The strong force pulled her back into the private room from behind. Jordan grabbed her arm and sneered, "What's the matter? Talking to us cutting into your money-making time?" He waved his hand, signaling for all the alcohol in the private room to be opened. Then he picked up the whiskey mixed with high-proof liquor from the table and poured it over Letitia's head. While admiring her disheveled state, he spoke in a low voice, "As long as you finish all these drinks, I'll give you 500,000. Since being diagnosed with kidney failure, Letitia could no longer drink alcohol. Even the slightest amount of alcohol would cause her body to collapse, hastening death. Letitia gazed at the unyielding coldness on his face, lost in thought for a long time. Only when the alcohol trickled into her eyes, stinging them until her vision blurred, did she finally speak. "If I finish this, can the 30,000 I borrowed from you be written off?" Jordan's pupils contracted sharply as he abruptly released Letitia's hand, staring into Letitia's eyes. His jaw muscles tensed as he forced out through clenched teeth, "Letitia, you're truly despicable." Letitia pulled 2 tissues from the table, wiping the alcohol from her face with a bitter smile. "That's right, I'm filthy, I'm despicable, I'm trash. I don't deserve your affection. I'm sorry for even existing in this world, but there's no helping it, Jordan. After 5 years of divorce, we still ended up meeting again." Letitia's voice trembled slightly as she avoided looking at Jordan, afraid the sorrow might spill from her eyes. She feared even more that he might notice something amiss and disrupt tomorrow's wedding. Averting his gloomy gaze, Letitia grabbed the liquor bottle from the table and took a swig. The pungent alcohol burned her mouth, her body instinctively recoiled with nausea, but her stubborn pride refused to yield, as if admitting defeat would turn those 5 years of suffering into nothing but a joke, so she just forced herself to swallow the alcohol, bottle after bottle. Everyone was applauding Letitia's humiliation. Mandy laughed so hard her stomach hurt, urging everyone to take photos as mementos. Only Jordan watched Letitia's movements, his hanging hand gradually clenching into a fist. 1 bottle, 2 bottles. After finishing the 4th bottle, Jordan could no longer restrain himself and grabbed Letitia's hand, roaring at her, "Letitia, would you die without money?" Looking at his bloodshot eyes, Letitia felt her heart constrict and instinctively spoke, "Yes, I will die." Jordan's pupils trembled as he angrily pushed her away. "Fine, then drink it all. Drink your fill. It's just 30,000, I'll pay it." Her body felt as if bound by boulders, while the metallic taste of blood kept spreading in her mouth. Letitia could hardly tell whether she was swallowing alcohol or blood. After finishing 1 bottle, she gasped for breath and reached for the next. Jordan could bear it no longer. He snatched the bottle and smashed it to the ground like a manic beast. "Enough, Letitia, you." His words trailed off, because Letitia's body had finally reached its limit. Blood surged uncontrollably from her throat, mingling with the alcohol on her chest into a glaring crimson. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but the next second, she collapsed weakly to the ground. The doctor seemed to have lied to her. She wouldn't live to see the 7th day. At the same moment, colleagues heard the commotion and burst into the private room. Looking at Letitia collapsed on the floor, her face filled with terror, she screamed hysterically at Jordan, "Letitia donated her kidney to you 5 years ago. Now she's in end-stage renal failure, she can't drink at all, she's dying." The private room fell deathly silent. Even Mandy subconsciously held her breath, glaring at the visibly faint Letitia with gritted teeth. Bitch, it's just some alcohol, what's with all the drama, still trying to seduce men even at death's door? She glared at Letitia, her face twisted with fury, as if she wanted to tear her apart. Jordan, however, seemed struck by lightning, his entire body freezing instantly. The mockery and indifference on his face vanished in an instant, replaced by endless shock and panic. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but it was as if all his strength had been drained, not a single word could escape. After a long while, he finally broke the silence. Letitia, I never thought you'd stoop so low as to fabricate such lies for money, kidney failure. You think I'd believe this charade just because you brought someone to act it out with you? I'm not the fool I used to be. Letitia stood up trembling, her heart aching uncontrollably. She knew that to Jordan, she had once left him during his most painful and difficult times all for money. Now that he had achieved fame and success, of course she could abandon her dignity again for money. Lying through her teeth, she had long since resigned herself to her fate. Seeing her stand up, Jordan became even more convinced of his thoughts, his expression darkening. To deceive me. You've really gone to great lengths, not only deliberately provoking me, hiring extras, but also specifically choosing the day before my wedding with Mandy. What, you wouldn't be thinking of using my sympathy to replace Mandy as my bride, would you? Dream on. Mandy also came to her senses, suppressing her laughter as she said, I was wondering why Miss Letitia specifically poured wine on me. Turns out it was premeditated. We almost fell for your trick. And where did you buy that blood capsule in your mouth? It's so realistic. Miss Letitia didn't even find it disgusting. She found her nose in disgust, looking at her as if she were a piece of trash. The others quickly caught on and joined in the attack. Mandy is right. Who vomits that much blood at once? It's so fake, actually. I saw through it long ago. Letitia is just pretending. Look, her makeup isn't even smudged. The hushed taunts made Jordan's expression turn ice cold. The colleague's eyes turned red with anger and shouted loudly, You're talking nonsense. Letitia wasn't lying. She's genuinely sick. Jordan, don't you love her? How can you not see that? Jordan slowly clenched his fists, his heart aching terribly while pretending to be nonchalant. A liar doesn't deserve to speak of love. As the words fell, Letitia's body gave a violent shudder. She wanted to say she was worthy, more worthy than anyone else, but facing Jordan's eyes filled with disgust and ice, she couldn't even muster the strength to open her mouth. A colleague still wanted to argue. Jordan, Letitia has never betrayed you. You're so wealthy, you could easily hire someone to investigate. Letitia glanced at her, signaling her to say no more. A flash of astonishment passed through the colleague's eyes before realization dawned, their slightly parted lips closing with difficulty. The tears in her eyes simply wouldn't stop flowing. She couldn't understand why Letitia still refused to tell the truth at this point. Mandy seized every opportunity to sow discord. Why not let her finish speaking? Could it be that Letitia didn't coordinate her story in advance and is feeling guilty now? Mandy rubbed her reddened eyes and looked at Jordan with heartache. Jordan, Letitia is so scheming. You must have suffered a lot before, right? My heart aches for you. If only I had met you earlier. I would never have let you endure so much pain. Hearing this, the others were immediately moved to tears. Jordan, look how good Mandy is to you. Only she truly deserves you. As for Letitia, that gold-digging bitch, that's right. Jordan, let's go. Tomorrow is your wedding with Mandy. Don't let this fraud Letitia ruin your mood. Jordan, old Tim is right. Let's just ignore her. Your wedding with Mandy comes first. One after another, the persuasions echoed in Jordan's ears, yet he seemed deaf to them all, his gaze fixed heavily on Letitia. I want to hear it from you. Letitia, are you lying to me? Letitia looked up, her eyes glistening with tears, and with just one glance, she nearly drove Jordan out of his mind. Yet when she spoke, what she said was, I never thought you'd actually find out, Jordan. How could you be so easy to fool? Jordan's body stiffened, and after a long pause, he forced out a cold laugh from his throat. Letitia, I truly regret ever loving you. With that, he pulled out a stack of checks from his pocket, swiftly wrote a sum with his signature, and flung them at Letitia. Didn't your friends say alcohol would kill you? Take this money and save it for your grave. Take the money and get out. Don't ever let me see you again. Letitia bent down to pick up the check soaked in spilled liquor, her fingers trembling slightly. The past 13 years transformed into a giant screen, flashing rapidly before her eyes. The good, the bad, the joyful, the sorrowful, all gradually faded in color during this flashback. What remained in the end was only that moment at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jordan holding her hand as they solemnly pledged their vows to each other. We voluntarily become husband and wife. From this day forward, we shall jointly shoulder the responsibilities and obligations bestowed upon us by marriage. to honor our parents above, to guide our children below, to respect and cherish each other, to trust and encourage one another, to forgive and yield to each other, to share life's joys and sorrows, and to remain devoted for a lifetime, henceforth, whether in prosperity or adversity, wealth or poverty, health or sickness, youth or old age, we shall stand together through storms and hardships. Sharing weal and woe, to become lifelong companions, we must uphold today's oath. We will certainly uphold today's oath, sworn by Jordan Letitia, fingers dug deep into her palms. Letitia recalled the moment she signed the donation agreement 5 years ago. The doctor advised her, "I know you and Jordan are close, but is it really worth sacrificing your entire life for him?" 26-year-old Letitia stated resolutely, "I love him, I can't let him die before my eyes." The doctor sighed. "What about you? Even if Jordan recovers, there's a high chance you'll get the same illness. If you die, what will happen to him?" Letitia froze, her eyes turning slightly red. "Then don't let him know. As long as he doesn't know, he won't be sad." The wound in her palm throbbed with pain. Letitia seemed oblivious to it as she continued provoking Jordan. "Thank you for your generosity, Mr. Jordan. Wishing Mr. Jordan a happy marriage." Jordan's hand holding the fountain pen trembled. Ink staining his fingertips black, he finally fell silent, merely smiling self-deprecatingly before stepping out of the private booth. In the moment they brushed past each other, Letitia caught sight of the red string hidden beneath the man's collar. It was the one Jordan had worn during his hospital stay. Letitia had prayed for it on his behalf. Back then, Jordan was skin and bones from dialysis, losing hope in recovery, and had attempted suicide several times. To encourage him, Letitia personally made the trip to the Thousand Buddha Temple. From the foot of the mountain to the temple, Letitia prostrated herself at every step, climbing 3,000 steps. Only then did she obtain this red string meant to bless and protect. To keep Jordan from worrying, Letitia even lied to him, saying it was just a $10 trinket from a roadside stall, for good luck. Yet that $10 item was something Jordan wore for 5 years after their divorce. Tears flowed like a broken faucet. Letitia wiped them away several times, but they just wouldn't stop. She thought, Jordan couldn't lie to save his life. Unlike her, she had deceived him for 5 whole years. The private room door slammed shut with a heavy thud. Jordan was gone. The others exchanged glances and immediately followed. Mandy lagged half a step behind, pulling a gilded invitation from her bag and tossing it to the ground with a beaming smile. "Jordan and I are getting married tomorrow. If you're not dead yet, you're welcome to attend." When the last person finally left, Letitia finally gave out, collapsing weakly onto her colleague. Her colleague was both furious and heartbroken, her voice trembling with unshed tears. "Letitia, why didn't you tell him you were dying? If only you'd said it, you wouldn't have had to endure all this." Letitia smiled, taking out that blood-stained check and gently shaking it. "It's been 5 years since it happened. What's the point of saying so much now? Look at this check. Jordan gave me $500,000. It would take me ages to earn that much. When the time comes, I'll split it with you." The colleague's tears flowed even more fiercely. "But after how he treated you, is this really worth it?" Letitia remained silent. 7 years ago, when her parents passed away, Jordan secretly went to the hospital to sell his blood so her parents could have a proper burial. Letitia asked him, "Jordan, is this really worth it?" Jordan smiled and ruffled her hair, his voice firm. "It's worth it. As long as it's Letitia, it's worth it." So now, facing her colleague's puzzled gaze, Letitia simply reached up to wipe away her tears, her voice, "Worth it. As long as it's Jordan, it's worth it." As she finished speaking, she suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood, and her vision began to blur. In her ears, she could hear her colleagues shouting anxiously. At the same time, Jordan seemed to sense something and stopped in his tracks. "Jordan, why did you stop?" Mandy was the first to notice something was wrong, her heart skipping a beat. After all the effort it took for Jordan to decide to cut ties with Letitia, she couldn't let him go back now. Jordan shook his head. "It's fine." For some reason, his heart suddenly started racing, as if something terrible had quietly happened without his knowledge. Suddenly, he remembered what his colleague Letitia had said. "Letitia donated her kidney to you 5 years ago. Now she's in end-stage renal failure. She can't drink at all. She's dying." His hanging hand slowly clenched into a fist. Jordan hesitated for a moment, just about to turn around when Mandy suddenly let out a startled cry. Jordan frowned. "What's wrong?" Mandy bit her lip, her face pale. "It's nothing. Just the wound hurting again. Probably a lingering effect from donating my kidney to you 5 years ago, Jordan. Can you take me to the hospital?" Jordan froze, instinctively looking at Mandy's left waist. 5 years ago, he had been unable to find the donor after his kidney transplant surgery. After pestering the doctor for a long time, he was finally told that the donor was a woman in her 20s. At that time, in the hospital ward on the same floor, only Mandy and he had undergone surgery on the same day. Jordan found her alone, with no family by her side. She said her family was very poor, and she was studying alone in the capital city. By chance, she learned he needed a kidney and secretly went through the matching process without telling her parents. She also said she liked him and wanted to be with him. At that time, Jordan was moved, but also found it absurd. His heart belonged only to Letitia. Even if someone had saved his life, he wasn't willing to let another woman take Letitia's place. So, he refused. Mandy was disappointed, but then proposed that Jordan, in return for her saving him, let her stay by his side even if just as a friend. Just like that, Mandy followed by Jordan's side. A year ago, Jordan was drugged at a party. Upon waking, Mandy was found lying naked beside him. Since then, Jordan seemed to have lost his soul, working frantically, even considering becoming a monk, until half a month ago, on his way home from work, he saw Letitia walk into a shabby hotel. He smoked an entire pack of cigarettes in the car. The bitter taste of smoke passed through his throat, sank into his lungs, and settled heavily in his heart. It still aches faintly to this day. So he called Mandy. "You wanted to marry me, didn't you? Play along with this act, and I'll marry you." Coming back to his senses, Jordan hesitated no longer and carried Mandy into the car, rushing to the hospital. Meanwhile, a colleague also called for an ambulance. The ambulance brushed past Jordan's black Maybach. By the time Letitia regained consciousness, she was already in the hospital. The sterile white hospital room stung her eyes. A colleague kept vigil by her bedside and immediately grasped her hand upon seeing her awake. "Letitia, you scared me to death. Do you know you were in critical care for 3 days and nights? I really thought you were going to." She sobbed a few times, then wiped away her tears haphazardly. "But thankfully, Jordan gave you 500,000, so you could afford the most expensive specialized medicine at the hospital and stabilize your condition. Otherwise, I'd really be planning your funeral." Her colleague smiled weakly, dark circles under their eyes, clearly having kept vigil by her side for a long time. Yet even so, Letitia could still see the sorrow on her face. With a faint twitch of her lips, Letitia asked, "How much longer do I have to live?" She knew her body was already like an oil lamp burning its last drop of fuel. Even the best medicine couldn't make her better. At most, it would only buy her a little more time to linger on. The ward suddenly fell silent. A colleague opened their mouth, wanting to tell Letitia that she was overthinking it, that she was fine, that she wouldn't die. Faced with her gaze that seemed to see through everything, the colleague couldn't utter a single lie. After a long silence, she finally spoke softly. 7 days, the doctor said. After 7 days, even with the best medicine in the world, she couldn't continue speaking. Collapsing onto the hospital bed in uncontrollable sobs, Letitia, however, wasn't particularly sad. She thought, 7 days, she had gained 7 more days, how wonderful. She smiled and was about to comfort her colleague when she heard her say, "Jordan is also in this hospital." Her heart trembled uncontrollably. Letitia asked, "Does he know about me?" The colleague shook their head, their tone indignant. "It's because of that Mandy. She said she wasn't feeling well. So Jordan booked out the entire floor of VIP wards for her and called away all the kidney specialists in the hospital. Said it was just in case. That Mandy didn't even donate a kidney. Why's he bending over backwards for her? Trashy man and shameless woman. Disgusting." Letitia wanted to smile, but no matter how she tried, it always looked bitter. She gazed out the window where the sunlight was splendid, so splendid it was almost blinding. After a moment of silence, she turned to her colleague. "Could you help me check out of the hospital?" At the end of her life, she didn't want to spend it in the hospital. She wanted to go out for a walk and see the city one more time. The first stop was Letitia and Jordan's university, where they fell in love. During their 4 years at university, Letitia and Jordan watched sunsets at the lakeside pavilion, kissed on tree-lined paths, and walked hand in hand through every corner of the campus. She still remembered that summer, Jordan standing downstairs at the girls' dormitory with an ice cream, flustered as it melted in his hands. She still remembered their first kiss. Jordan had turned red from his neck to the tips of his ears, yet stubbornly insisted he wasn't nervous. 5 years had passed. Letitia spent every day trying to forget the past, yet those images had never faded from her memory for a single day. Jordan, would he remember? Leaving the school, her second stop brought Letitia to the rented apartment she once shared with Jordan, in that cramped space of less than 30 square meters. The deepest love between her and Jordan had taken root. The landlady recognized her and greeted her with a smile. "Letitia, why did you come back alone? Where's Jordan? Why didn't he come back? That boy used to stick to you the most, didn't he? Do you have children yet? How old are they? Do they look more like Jordan or you?" The barrage of questions caught Letitia completely off guard. She wanted to say that she and Jordan had been divorced for many years, wanted to say they had no children. Jordan was also about to marry another woman, but when the words reached her lips, Letitia couldn't resist being selfish for once. She told the landlord, "Jordan is busy with work and can't make it these 2 days, but he'll come later. We have a child, 5 years old, a girl named Tina. She looks like Jordan, with double eyelids, almond-shaped eyes, and very fair skin. She smiles at everyone she meets." Letitia described every detail, her eyes growing increasingly moist with each word. She wasn't actually lying. If Jordan hadn't fallen ill, their child would be 5 years old by now. She would be very smart. Because Jordan was smart, she would laugh often. Because Jordan always said Letitia looked most beautiful when she smiled, she would have a father who loved her very, very much, and a very, very happy home. At this point in her memories, Letitia suddenly felt very cold and hugged herself. The wind picked up. For the third stop, Letitia didn't know where to go. "I stopped in my tracks as I passed by a private hospital." At 20, Letitia lost both her parents in a car accident. Her grandfather was biased, looking down on her for being a girl, and took away all the inheritance Letitia's parents had left behind. Letitia didn't even have money to buy a burial plot. At her most desperate moment, she even considered selling herself. Seriously, she had already walked to the entrance of the club. But Jordan stopped her, shielding her tightly in his arms. He said, "Letitia, I'm here for you. I'll help you. With me here, you don't need to be afraid of anything." He borrowed from everyone around him who could lend money, but it still wasn't enough. He worked day and night, yet it still wasn't enough. In the end, Jordan went to the hospital to sell his blood. Letitia discovered it when Jordan had just left the hospital. When he saw her, Jordan immediately hit his arm. Saying he was just at the hospital for a checkup, Letitia hit him frantically, asking why he would harm himself like this, calling him the biggest fool in the world. Jordan held her in his arms with a bittersweet smile, his eyes also reddening. "Letitia, I'd do anything for you." With just one sentence, Letitia surrendered completely, losing her heart. Letitia thought she would owe him for a lifetime. Her eyes reddening, Letitia quickly wiped away her tears. The phone rang. It was a call from a colleague. "Letitia, something terrible has happened. Someone filmed what happened in the private room the other day. You're now trending citywide. You're being cyberbullied." Letitia clicked on the link with confusion, and sure enough, it was the video from the private room that day. The recording clearly captured how she knelt to wipe Mandy's shoes and was exposed by Jordan. In the end, she desperately chugged bottle after bottle for money. Looking utterly pathetic, her conversation with Jordan was also maliciously edited, removing the other's sarcastic remarks and deliberately highlighting only her words. "Jordan, how can you be so easily fooled?" And then there was his line, "Letitia, I truly regret ever loving you." As for the person who released the footage, they went so far as to title it, "Shocking." The ex-wife of billionaire tycoon Jordan once cheated for money while Mr. Jordan was critically ill, now destitute. She's fabricating kidney donation lies and meddling in Mr. Jordan's marriage for financial gain. The comments below have flooded over 100,000 replies, each condemning Letitia's heartlessness and shamelessness. She abandoned Mr. Jordan back then, and now that he's successful, she returns to scam money. How utterly disgraceful. So even Mr. Jordan can be deceived. How pitiful. Does anyone know this woman's name? Where does she live, since she loves money so much? I'll send her 2 boxes of heaven and earth banknotes. Doesn't anyone feel sorry for Mr. Jordan's fiancée? She's been with Mr. Jordan for 5 years, finally about to get married, only for this heartless ex-wife to show up and put the wedding on hold. Letitia frowned, thinking she must have misread. "The wedding's on hold. Why?" Just as I was wondering about this, I saw the next comment. "Who says it isn't true? My cousin works at Mr. Jordan's company. I heard that when Mr. Jordan was dying of kidney failure years ago, it was his fiancée who donated a kidney to him. That's why Mr. Jordan treats her so well." Her scrolling finger froze as Letitia widened her eyes, repeatedly checking this comment. The person who donated a kidney to Jordan was Mandy. What about her? Where did her kidney go? Jordan, why would Mandy believe she donated a kidney to him? In an instant, more and more questions flooded Letitia's mind. She was about to click on the profile of the person who made the comment to investigate further. An unknown call came through on her phone. Connected, Mandy's malicious voice rang out. "Starlight Resort, let's talk. I know you must have seen the trending topic. Aren't you curious why they're saying it was me who donated a kidney to Jordan? If you want the answer, come find me." On the phone, Mandy sounded flirtatious, seemingly certain that Letitia would come. Letitia did indeed want to know the truth. Without hesitation, she took a taxi to the resort. By the pool, Mandy had been waiting for a long time. Compared to her previous delicate charm, today's Mandy was clearly dressed to impress, a custom-made designer gown, a bracelet studded with diamonds, and a 20-carat pink diamond ring on her ring finger. Letitia had seen it on TV before. It came from the most exclusive diamond mine in South Africa, called the Heart of True Love. Noticing Letitia's gaze, Mandy smugly remarked, "This was a gift from Jordan because he felt sorry for me donating my kidney to him. He said the previous one was too modest and outdated, and he didn't like it. Only a gem this precious could match the love between us. So, isn't it nice?" Mandy proudly lifted her chin, eagerly anticipating Letitia to show a jealous look in her eyes. After all, in her view, Letitia couldn't even afford to pay back 3,000 yuan in interest. So she must have never seen something this nice before, but Letitia just gave it a brief glance and went straight to the point. "What exactly did you call me here to say? My time is limited. I don't have the patience for these childish games." The merciless words instantly shattered Mandy's smug satisfaction, twisting it into undisguised venom. "Letitia, think you're so clever, don't you? If it weren't for you, Jordan would have married me long ago. A dying woman like you still scheming to seduce men, how pathetic can you be? Didn't you want answers? Then I'll tell you, 5 years ago, Jordan and I had surgeries on the same day. Who would have thought that when he woke up, he actually believed I was the one who donated a kidney to him? He came to my hospital room personally to thank me, even saying he'd repay me with everything he had. How ridiculous." But, Mandy drew out her words, carefully observing the subtle change in Letitia's expression. "But seeing how handsome he was, I thought why not play along? It's not my fault the actual kidney donor was foolish enough to sign a confidentiality agreement. It took me 4 years to get Jordan to agree to be with me, and another year of begging before he consented to marry me. Who would have thought you'd suddenly reappear, using the excuse of owing money? You've been parading yourself in front of Jordan every day, making him remember you again, unable to forget you. Letitia, you're really something." As she spoke, Mandy's features twisted completely in anger, but Letitia could only find it laughable. She was the one who impersonated someone else, yet she dares to blame me for showing up. "Aren't you afraid I'll tell Jordan?" Letitia looked up without fear. Mandy's face turned cold, then the corners of her lips curled into a disdainful arc. "Then go ahead and try. Let's see whether he'll believe you, his ex-sister-in-law who abandoned him in his darkest hour, or me, the girlfriend who stood by him through thick and thin." "Letitia, stop joking around." She looked down at Letitia with disdain, as if gazing at a piece of trash. "I called you here to warn you, keep your mouth shut. When you die, I'll remember to order a wreath for you. Consider it a reward for your obedience. MS, Letitia." Mandy burst into laughter and strode away with her nose in the air. Only Letitia remained, sitting by the garden edge, pondering Mandy's words. She was right. Whether it was Jordan or anyone else's perspective, she, Letitia, would always be seen as the heartless one who abandoned Jordan. But, Letitia lowered her eyes and opened her handbag. In the inner compartment, a small recorder was flashing an eerie green light. Letitia and Jordan were both people who had fought their way up from the bottom. Having witnessed the fickleness of human nature and tasted all the bittersweet flavors of life, not to mention those shady characters, so the moment Mandy called, Letitia had a colleague buy a voice recorder immediately. She thought that at least Mandy would check her bag. Little did she expect the evidence to come so effortlessly. With a scoff, Letitia took out her phone, ready to find someone to edit the audio and post it online, but upon opening the social platform, she discovered that all the news and negative comments about her online had completely vanished. The phone had even missed Jordan's dozen or so calls to her. Staring at the string of missed calls, Letitia was momentarily stunned before understanding dawned on her. Probably here to demand an explanation, right? After all, Jordan was now a well-known entrepreneur with a reputation to uphold. It's understandable not wanting one's ex-wife's tarnished reputation to affect oneself. The phone hovered at the dialing interface, pausing repeatedly, but ultimately the call was never made. Letitia pondered for a moment, exited Jordan's contact page, and called a colleague instead. "Ying, I need your help with something." Before she could finish speaking, a sharp pain suddenly pierced the back of her neck. Like a needle puncturing skin, Letitia went limp and collapsed unconscious, her phone clattering to the ground. Thud. The sound resembled a heavy object falling. Then came the sound of fabric scraping against the ground, the sound of a car starting. The colleague's voice shifted from confusion to terror. Letitia, say something. Are you okay, Letitia? Don't scare me like this." The phone was picked up by someone and hung up. Her colleague's mood had also reached the peak of panic. Almost instinctively, she dropped her work and ran to Jordan's company. "Jordan, I need to see Jordan," in the lobby of the Lu Corporation. A colleague Mary was sweating profusely as she urgently shouted at the reception desk. The receptionist flashed a perfunctory smile, her eyes casually scanning Mary from head to toe, not spotting a single designer label. Her expression turned disdainful. "I'm sorry, miss, our Mr. Jordan is very busy. He can't see just anyone. Do you have an appointment?" Mary shook her head and anxiously pulled out her phone to explain. "I'm a friend of Jordan's ex-wife. Something's happened to her. And I can't reach her now. Please, let me see Jordan. He wouldn't just abandon her." At the mention of ex-wife, the receptionist's smile vanished instantly, replaced by undisguised scorn. "Ex-wife? Are you referring to the one who was widely rumored online to have abandoned our Mr. Jordan during his critical illness? Who doesn't know that our Mr. Jordan has long severed ties with her? If you have any issues, go to the police instead of causing a scene at Lou Corporation." The receptionist's voice drew the attention of everyone in the lobby. After seeing Mary's appearance, someone pulled up a saved video and couldn't help but make comparisons. "Hey, look, doesn't this person look like the one in the video? Mr. Jordan's ex-wife hired that extra. Why is she here? Is she trying to cause trouble again? Call the police, quick." A rustling sound reached both their ears. Mary turned pale and immediately turned around to retort. "What do you know? Letitia didn't scam anyone. Something happened to her. I need to find Jordan." Someone scoffed, still claiming it's not a scam. "Poor Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan really hit the jackpot of bad luck with an ex-wife like that. Gotta admit, these scammers have some thick skin. Even after being exposed, they're still fooling themselves." Mary wanted to explain, but the more she tried, the less anyone believed her. The receptionist, having seen enough of the show, picked up the front desk phone to call security. "Someone's causing trouble in the lobby. Get people over here quickly." The security guards arrived promptly and swiftly subdued Mary, firmly restraining her as they attempted to drag her out. Mary was furious, her eyes red with anger as she struggled incessantly. "Let me go. I'm not causing trouble. Letitia is really in danger. Let me see Jordan. He's met me before. He'll believe me. I can explain." The security guard froze. Looking toward the reception desk, the receptionist sneered. "Scammers these days really are good actors. They even believe their own lies. If I hadn't seen the video, I might have actually believed you. You were that extra in the footage, weren't you? Last time you tricked Mr. Jordan into thinking that bitch donated a kidney for him. What's your story today? That she's dying? What? You're not thinking of making Mr. Jordan pay for the funeral expenses, are you? With that?" She lost her patience and ordered the security guards, "Hurry up and get this person out of here. Don't let Mr. Jordan see her. She'll dirty his eyes." The security guards obeyed, gagging Mary as they prepared to throw her out of the Lou Corporation. Bystanders pulled out their phones, ready to record this satisfying scene. In an unnoticed corner, the CEO's private elevator quietly descended to the first floor. Jordan spoke in a deep voice. "What's all this commotion about?" Mary's eyes lit up as she broke free from the security guard, shouting toward Jordan. "Jordan, Letitia is in trouble." The atmosphere in the lobby froze. Everyone instinctively turned their heads, expecting to see Jordan's angry expression. To their surprise, Jordan only paused briefly before immediately striding up to Mary, his gaze sharp. "Explain clearly what happened to Letitia." Mary's eyes reddened as she pulled out her phone and showed it to Jordan, just as she was about to speak. The receptionist interrupted. "Mr. Jordan, I've already investigated. This woman was specifically hired by Ms. Letitia to cause trouble, with the sole purpose of extorting money. You mustn't fall for it." Having said that, she added ingratiatingly, "Don't worry. I'll have security remove her immediately and ban her from ever setting foot in our group again." The receptionist turned around and, without waiting for Jordan's response, eagerly shouted, "What are you standing around for? Get moving." "Wait." Jordan suddenly spoke up, his sharp gaze falling on Mary's communication screen displaying Letitia's name, his voice urgent. "What did you say happened to Letitia?" "Letitia woke up in the hospital and said she wanted to go for a walk, then call me, but for some reason, she suddenly went silent after just 2 sentences. The call got disconnected, and I couldn't reach her." "Jordan, you're so wealthy, you can definitely help me find Letitia, right?" Mary spoke through tears, even prepared to kneel and beg if Jordan refused, but she didn't expect that as soon as she finished speaking, Jordan's expression changed, and he turned to run outside. Mary snapped back to reality, hastily wiping her tears as she hurried to catch up. The receptionist watched Jordan's frantic retreating figure. Finally regaining her composure, "We're screwed." Meanwhile, Letitia remained unconscious throughout the entire night. When she woke again, she found herself dressed in a revealing lingerie dress, her hands bound, locked inside a metal cage. Below the stage, Dozens of men were loudly discussing her image displayed on the large screen. The auction house's goods are getting worse. How can such a skinny woman be the grand finale? I heard she's the ex-wife who dumped Mr. Jordan online. She sold herself here just to make money. Isn't this woman just too shameless? Mr. Jordan would go crazy with rage if he knew, wouldn't he? Letitia froze, then immediately struggled like mad. But no matter how hard she tried, her body refused to obey, leaving her limp and powerless on the ground like a display item in a shop window, subjected to others' brazen scrutiny. Despair flooded over Letitia, nearly suffocating her, until she thought of Jordan. If only he knew she was here. Suddenly, she heard someone in the audience question, "Mr. Jordan's woman, dare we touch her? What if there's retaliation?" For a moment, everyone hesitated, and no one dared to bid. Letitia let out a sigh of relief, just about to set her heart at ease, when the microphone's voice boomed across the room. Mandy stepped slowly from behind the scenes to center stage, her lips curling into a chilling smile. "No need to worry, everyone. I am Jordan's fiancée, Mandy. This woman, for the sake of money, has not only repeatedly fabricated lies to deceive Jordan's affections but has also schemed behind the scenes in every possible way to sabotage my wedding with Jordan. Truly despicable. So Jordan specifically instructed me to teach her a lesson. Feel free to proceed with the auction. The Lou Corporation will absolutely not cause any trouble for any of you." Having said that, she pulled out a court verdict from her pocket and displayed it on the large screen. "Everyone, look. This is the judgment document Jordan specifically handed to me. Jordan has reclaimed all the assets she was awarded during the divorce." Mandy spoke with such convincing logic that the others couldn't help but set aside their doubts, their lecherous gazes repeatedly sweeping over Letitia's body. Mandy took satisfaction in observing the crowd's reaction. Mandy grew increasingly excited as she spoke, her sidelong glances constantly flickering toward Letitia struggling in the iron cage. Eager to witness her breakdown and despair, however, Letitia merely lay quietly in a corner of the iron cage, her eyes vacant, as if she had already shut out everything around her. Mandy seeing this, the delight in her heart grew even stronger, and she decided to add fuel to the fire. "You might not know this yet, but this woman once went to 3 different hotels in one night because she was short on money. So don't worry, once you've bid, you can do whatever you want with her." Mandy's words were like a sharp knife, mercilessly stabbing into Letitia and igniting the desires of the men in the audience. "I bid 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. The men below the stage were bidding against each other, their eyes gleaming with greed and desire, as if Letitia were already their possession. Mandy watched the scene, a smug smile curling at the corners of her lips. She refused to believe Letitia could remain composed under such circumstances. The auction reached its climax as the bidding soared to 200,000. Suddenly, an unpleasant voice rang out, 1 million. "I bid 1 million. The sudden exorbitant price left everyone stunned, and they all turned their heads to see which wealthy tycoon had made the offer. The companion quickly tried to dissuade him. "Are you crazy? This woman clearly has the look of someone who'll die young. How could she possibly be worth 1 million? You don't understand." The middle-aged man with a plump face and large ears licked his lips, his expression full of ill intent. "This woman is average, but she's Mr. Jordan's ex-wife. Though I can't beat Mr. Jordan in business, just thinking about sharing a woman with Mr. Jordan gets me excited. Besides, even if she's unusable, worst-case scenario, my dog's in heat lately. Making her serve my dog wouldn't be a loss either." "President Wang, that's just too twisted of you," someone nearby teased. "What do you all know? Haven't you heard a bitch deserves a dog? Besides, my dog is of French noble bloodline." The crowd around exchanged words, all hurling insults at Letitia. Mandy burst into peals of laughter, hastily raising her gavel. "Well said, this wretched woman is yours now." With that, she signaled her bodyguards to escort the person away. The upheaval happened in an instant. Leaning on the bodyguard's strength, Letitia slowly rose to her feet, then suddenly slammed into a corner of the iron cage. Bang! The cage emitted a deafening clang. Letitia collapsed to the ground, blood gushing from her forehead. The auction house doors were violently kicked open. Jordan stormed into the venue with his men, his eyes turning blood red at the sight. Letitia, in the hospital, Jordan sat quietly by the emergency room door, his hands trembling uncontrollably. So much blood, he murmured, as if trapped in a nightmare from which he could never wake. His numb eyes only regained a glimmer of light when the doctor finally emerged from the operating room. "Doctor, Letitia, how is she? Is she going to be all right?" Jordan asked hoarsely, his gaze fixed on the doctor with desperate hope. The doctor hesitated before speaking. "MS. Letitia's head injury isn't serious, but what?" Jordan's heart instantly leaped to his throat. He stared intently at the doctor, afraid to miss a single word. But Ms. Letitia has severe kidney failure and is extremely weak. This time she's suffered such intense shock. The doctor sighed. Probably just these couple of days. The family should make preparations early. The doctor's words echoed through the corridor. Jordan felt a ringing in his ears. He turned his head blankly and asked Mary, "What did the doctor just say? Kidney failure? Letitia, how could she have kidney failure? Wasn't she lying to me?" Jordan stiffly took a step back until his spine hit the cold hospital wall, and only then did the tears finally fall. He wanted to laugh. Letitia, since when has she been this capable? She could bribe doctors to give false testimony for herself. How could she possibly get kidney failure? Such a painful disease, how could she be the one to get kidney failure? Jordan kept thinking over and over, his lips curling into an ugly smile. Mary covered her mouth, breaking down in tears. "It's all your fault, all your fault." The doctor clearly said Letitia had 7 days left. I'd already planned to take her to see the sunrise, the ocean, to let her go happily, but now, she wiped her tears and glared hatefully at Jordan. "If you had kept yourself in check and not come pestering Letitia 5 years after the divorce, she wouldn't have ended up like this. All these years, she's done so much for you, more than you could ever imagine. Get out, don't let me see you again. Get out now," Mary screamed hoarsely. Jordan opened his mouth, wanting to speak, but as soon as he opened it, his mouth was filled with the bitter taste of salt and blood. He wanted to say it wasn't true. He didn't mean to pester Letitia, he just missed her, just wanted an excuse to see her. He didn't know why he had become like that either. Having completely chewed through the soft flesh in his mouth, Jordan swallowed the bloody foam and turned toward the operating room. With each step, his back bent a little more. With each step, he swallowed another mouthful of blood. It wasn't until Jordan saw with his own eyes Letitia's face, pale enough to be almost translucent, that he finally collapsed, falling to the ground with a thud. Chaos ensued once again. Ever since falling ill, Letitia hadn't slept this well in a long time. When she was awakened by the sunlight, she remained dazed for quite a while. "Am I dead? What a pity." She didn't even get to say goodbye to Jordan. The next second, the phone by her pillow lit up. Opening it, there was a message from Mary. "Letitia, I've asked the boss for leave. I don't know when you'll wake up, so I bought you some kanji. Also, Jordan already knows you're sick. He's in the next room. If you don't want to see him, stay quiet until I get back. Jordan knows." Letitia stared blankly at the message, her gaze gradually losing focus. She recalled what had happened before losing consciousness. Mandy, the auction, Jordan. She never expected that Jordan would save her again, perhaps wanting to escape. Letitia suddenly remembered her date of death, counting the days. She realized there were only 4 left. 4 days, her funeral hadn't even been scheduled yet. Letitia thought. Then, just as Mary had said, held her breath, carefully changed clothes, and slipped out of the hospital. She wasn't sure if it was just her imagination, Letitia, but she felt in exceptionally good form today. Her throat wasn't scratchy, and her body no longer ached. Even her complexion had become noticeably rosier, giving her the strength to arrive at the funeral home with a smile. When they saw Letitia, the staff members' faces lit up with joy. "Miss Letitia, the funeral you previously booked has expired. We went to the address you left but couldn't find you. We thought something might have happened to you. Are you here today to cancel the funeral?" "I knew it. Someone as young as you must have heaven's blessings." The staff members chuckled good-naturedly. Letitia also smiled, taking out her bank card from her bag and gently placing it on the table. "Thank you. But I'm not here to cancel the funeral. I'm here to rebook my own funeral." The staff member froze, the joy between their eyebrows solidifying into something almost comical. I'm sorry. I thought you, The staff members were at a loss, so anxious that tears sprang from their eyes. Letitia was amused. "It's all right, don't be nervous." Then she cracked another joke. "This time I'm quite wealthy. Your commission can be doubled." The staff member nearly burst into tears. Flustered, he pulled forms from the drawer, and in his nervousness, the signing pen rolled off the desk onto the floor. Letitia reached out to pick it up, but a large hand reached the pen just before hers. Raising her eyes, Jordan's grief-stricken gaze crashed into Letitia's heart. The corners of his lips lifted slightly, his eyes bloodshot with anguish. "Letitia, why did you lie to me?" Letitia didn't know that during her unconsciousness, Jordan had combed through every record of her life from all these years. He knew she had fallen ill 5 years ago, knew she had worked 3 jobs a day to pay for treatment, enduring immense hardship. Knew that his lawsuit against her out of spite became the final straw that broke her. Knew even more that Letitia's kidney failure stemmed from that mysteriously vanished kidney. Time passed bit by bit. Letitia also regained her composure from the shock of facing Jordan. She clenched her fingers and blurted out, "Sorry. Over the years, she had said many I'm sorry's to Jordan, sorry for spending his money, I'm sorry to meet him again, I'm sorry that even before her death, she made him so sad. Jordan's body trembled slightly, he stared into Letitia's eyes, his own bloodshot. Was it you who donated a kidney to me 5 years ago? You said you didn't want me anymore back then, that was a lie, wasn't it? Letitia's eyelashes trembled slightly as she turned her head away in silence. Yet the very next second, the man forcibly lifted her chin again. Letitia, answer me, is it or isn't it? On her shoulders, Jordan's hands trembled slightly. His stubbornness and heartache transmitting through skin and veins, reaching the deepest recesses of Letitia's heart. She looked into Jordan's bloodshot eyes and spoke softly. Does it even matter anymore whether it is or isn't? Yes, Jordan shouted, tears streaming down his face like a homeless puppy. Of course it has meaning. Letitia, he paused for 2 seconds, his voice hoarse. You know perfectly well, I love you. Her heart felt as if it were being clenched tightly into a fist. Letitia opened her mouth to speak, only to realize she had long lost her voice. In the stalemate, Jordan was the first to break the silence. Do you know what I've done since you left? I worked like crazy, earned money like crazy. I thought if I climbed high enough, you'd see me. I thought if I had money, you'd come back to me. I thought I hated you. But the truth is I just couldn't admit that even after you kicked me away like trash, I still loved you. So Letitia, I beg you. Please tell me, was that kidney, the one you gave me? Meeting the man's hopeful gaze, Letitia spoke softly. No, that kidney was sold to me by someone else for 700,000. Jordan, you know how much I love money. 700,000, I could never earn that much in a lifetime. Jordan's light gradually dimmed in his eyes, then turned into a sorrow Letitia had never seen before. He said, Letitia, you're lying, I won't be fooled by you again. He gave Letitia a deep look before turning to leave. At the very moment of leaving the funeral home, Jordan suddenly halted his steps. I don't love Mandy, nor have I ever slept with her. Being with her was because she deceived me, and because I thought it was the only way you'd come looking for me. After Jordan left, Letitia stood frozen for a long time. She turned around quite naturally, picked up the signing pen quite naturally to sign the funeral pre-order form, and quite naturally faced the staff's concerned gaze, waving her hand to thank him. It wasn't until she walked out the door, with the breeze brushing past, that Letitia realized her cheeks were icy cold. As for Jordan, after leaving the funeral home, he did 2 things. The first thing he did was have his assistant liquidate all his assets. The second thing he did was go to the basement where Mandy was imprisoned. After rescuing Letitia, Jordan didn't call the police. Instead, he locked Mandy in the villa's basement. Mandy knelt and begged him, Jordan, I know I was wrong. I just lost my mind for a moment and wanted to teach her a lesson. I never truly meant to harm her. Jordan, after all these years together, you know how kind-hearted I am. I wouldn't even step on an ant, let alone harm a person. Jordan, I'm begging you, for the sake of the kidney I donated to save your life, please let me go this once. I swear I'll never dare again. Jordan remained silent, his dark gaze fixed on Mandy, forcing her to watch as he slammed the auction attendees violently against the iron cage. Once, twice, 3 times, blood splattered onto Mandy's face as the noises from those people turned from screams to moans. Then to lifeless silence like dead fish. Mandy was terrified, watching Jordan like he was a madman. She begged for mercy, but Jordan wouldn't stop. She wept bitterly, yet Jordan still wouldn't stop. At last, her reason was shattered. She stopped begging for mercy and instead screamed uncontrollably, Jordan, you're insane. You and Letitia both deserve to die horribly. She alternated between weeping and laughing. Do you think I'll be scared of you like this, in your dreams? I'm not afraid at all. I was the one who saved you back then. I don't believe you'd really dare to lay a hand on me. You're not that heartless. Jordan finally stopped. He dropped the barely breathing man in his grip and signaled his bodyguards to drag out an equally battered doctor. Was he the one who helped you deceive me? Jordan tilted his head, his gaze as deep and still as stagnant water. All these years, it was him who helped you conceal your physical condition, making me believe you were the one who saved me. You've deceived me for 5 years. Mandy, have you decided how you want to die? Mandy lost all color from her face. At this moment, she truly lost her mind. Leaving the villa, Jordan drove to pick up Letitia while his phone rang incessantly. Mary's voice came through choked with tears. Letitia just returned to the hospital and it's not good. Jordan, come quickly. The brakes were slammed to the floor, tires screeching against the pavement. Jordan gripped the steering wheel tightly, making a sharp U-turn toward the hospital. Meanwhile, a simple everyday post, simply because it mentioned Letitia's name, shot to the top of trending searches. Letitia had no idea that the funeral home staff had recognized her long ago. It's just that people in their line of work are accustomed to life and death partings, so they never believed the online rumors from the very beginning, after witnessing Letitia and Jordan's relationship firsthand today. The staff member finally couldn't hold back and posted a clarification online. I can personally confirm that Ms. Letitia is not faking illness for money as claimed, but is genuinely seriously ill. Here is Ms. Letitia's funeral arrangement invoice from our funeral home. Mr. Jordan is also aware of this. Please show some decency and stop disturbing Ms. Letitia's life. Below the post was a photo of his employee ID and Letitia's profile, though not entirely clear. It was enough to see the pallor and exhaustion on her face. The trending list exploded instantly. Previously, Letitia was seen as a heartless gold digger who abandoned Jordan. Now, they're discovering that Letitia seems to be hiding significant secrets. Thus, many people began searching again for Letitia's news, digging into Letitia's past. Details about Letitia's experiences and matters related to Letitia were unearthed one by one. Previously, a young girl came and asked if she could pre-order sunflowers. It was the first time I'd heard of using sunflowers for a funeral. The girl said sunflowers turned toward the light, so they could follow her to find warm places down below. Only later did I realize she was buying them for herself. Only then did everyone understand Letitia was truly going to die. Online opinions about Letitia immediately reversed. So Mr. Jordan's ex-wife is dying. She took that club job just to earn more money for her own treatment, right? So all these days, we've been cyberbullying a sick person. Soon after, Letitia's kidney donation was fully revealed through the doctor's statement. This time, everyone fell silent. My former attending physician couldn't help but step forward to explain. Ms. Letitia has kidney failure caused by a genetic mutation after previously donating a kidney. There's no cure now. The surgeon who personally removed my kidney also came forward to respond. All these years, I've been wondering whether I should make public what happened to Ms. Letitia. But every time I was about to speak, I couldn't help remembering how she pleaded with us. So many years have passed now. I never imagined Ms. Letitia would be living in such hardship. Had I known, I should have spoken out sooner. Ms. Letitia donated her kidney back then to her ex-husband, Mr. Jordan. She kept it all a secret just to save him. Letitia's heart donation to Jordan eventually caused an uproar. However, Letitia in the hospital knew nothing of this. She was already exhausted. Not a shred of strength remained in his body, his gaze beginning to grow unfocused. Mary clutched her hand, tears brimming in her eyes. Letitia, just hold on a little longer. Don't fall asleep. Okay, Jordan will be here any moment. You still have things you wanted to say to him, don't you? Can you just wait for him a little longer? Jordan, Letitia blinked and murmured, yes, Jordan, you probably don't know this, but the news about you donating a kidney to him is all over the internet now. He must know by now. Weren't you most worried that he'd be upset if he found out? Then wait a little longer. When he comes, talk to him properly. Tell him not to be sad. Mary sobbed uncontrollably, her tears falling onto Letitia's arm, raising goosebumps. Letitia smiled, trying to make her stop crying. Her throat tightened, and a sweet, metallic rush of blood sprayed out instantly. She saw Mary's crying halt for 2 seconds, transforming into boundless terror, seeing her flustered attempts to wipe away the bloodstains, only to smear them further. In the end, she thought, forget it. She should stop troubling others. She gave Jordan only 3 more seconds. Once those 3 seconds passed, she wouldn't wait any longer. 3, 2, 1. Letitia, you're not allowed to sleep. Letitia shuddered and slowly turned her head. Jordan stood at the hospital room door, his figure tall and solitary. Letitia, you're going to leave me again, aren't you? Letitia felt a sudden sting in her nose as she slowly reached out to him. Yes, I'm leaving you again, but never again after this. The wind reddened Jordan's eyes as he walked to the hospital bed and, like countless times before, gathered Letitia into his arms. Through his chest, Letitia heard Jordan's heartbeat, as if it too were weeping. Letitia's tears slowly gathered into a sea. Jordan, I have to go now. Jordan, don't come to my funeral. I don't want to see you cry. Jordan. Stop threatening me with my parents from now on. I know you can't bear to do it. Jordan, next time you lie, don't cry anymore. Jordan lowered his head and pressed a damp kiss to Letitia's forehead. Letitia gasped for breath, her consciousness already beginning to scatter. Her eyelids grew heavier, her vision increasingly blurred. She could feel her life slipping away bit by bit, like sand in an hourglass, vanishing without a sound. With a faint smile, she spoke the last words of her life. Jordan, stop loving me. Jordan closed his eyes, hot tears streaming down, yet unable to warm the person in his arms. Letitia, I can't do it. 3 days later, Letitia's funeral. Jordan did not attend. He lay in Letitia's cheap rental apartment for an entire day. When the clock struck 12, he lay down in the bathtub and never woke up again. The end.